So the only thing I want to talk about that is that close proximity to an urban area is very important. Okay, we want to be in a metropolitan area of at least 100,000 more. It doesn't mean we need to be right in it. It means to be like you can go to, I think it's goodplaces.net. I may be saying that wrong. Actually, I'm going to check on that before moving forward. Okay, so I'm glad I checked on that. It's bestplaces.net. That's where we go to check that out. But I'm sure there's some other websites and things like that. But it is very important that you are in or around a suburban urban area. Sorry about that. You want to be in close proximity to employment, and that's the big thing. Now, we have bought parks in small rural areas, but the times that we've done it, they're right in the thick of things. They're right in that community, in the neighborhood, by jobs, transportation, and then we're also looking for favorable rents, rent prices, and meaning they're higher, much higher than what it would cost to live in our mobile home park, and as well as the price of single-family home needs to be at a certain point. And we like it when it becomes very unaffordable for lower-income families. That's where mobile home park becomes, their housing of choice and just really out of necessity. So he talks more about for the past few years, the U.S. has faced an affordable housing crisis as home price growth has vastly exceeded wage growth. I talked about that earlier. So on a national level, there's a shortage of more than 7 million affordable homes for the country's more than 11 million extremely low income families. There's a shortage of 7 million affordable homes. And we know that the cost of construction is not going down, and not everybody wants to be in an apartment or a fourplex or an eightplex or, just jammed in tight. People like a little bit of green space. They like to own their own home. That's why I love this model. So, and then he talks about that's one reason why mobile home parks have such low vacancy rates. He talks about 4 to 6%. So that's really awesome. So, and he also talked about the continual need for affordable housing makes investing in mobile home parks a wise move. I agree, my friend. I definitely agree. All right, so they talk a little bit about COVID, the whole COVID situation, and how the mobile home parks have done extremely well during this time. And I can attest to that through myself and my own parks and other investors that I've spoken to in this space. But also that people want a little bit of space, right? And there's been surveys and polls done about from people who've lived in an apartment compared to a mobile home park or a mobile home, and people prefer overwhelmingly to live in a mobile home. I know that depends on the park that they're in, but they like having the green space. They like not sharing ceilings, walls, floors, and all that kind of stuff with people, with strangers, really, that may be strangers, and they enjoy living in a mobile home park more so, and really experience that sense of community. So, they interview someone in this article. I don't really necessarily agree with this, but I'll read it. So he talked about mobile home parks are at the bottom rung on the housing ladder. If they can't afford a mobile home lot rent, they typically end up under a bridge. I don't always see that's not always the case. It could be in certain instances. I'm not going to deny that. But the bottom rung on the housing ladder, what we're trying to do is create like incredibly nice, safe, clean communities that just happen to be cheaper. Okay, there are some things, not a lot, but there are some things in life that are not only cheaper, but they're better. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do. And for example, some of our residents, they don't have to live there. Okay, we have residents who have good income. They could afford a home. They like our communities. I had some that were on the verge of moving out or considering leaving before we took over, And there was a gentleman I talked to just a couple months ago, and him and his wife got approved to buy like a $275,000 house, something like that. But they really like, where we're at, especially that particular park. It's more of a subdivision. I mean, we've got half-acre lots out there, and which is a whole nother topic I'll cover in the workshop, just some other future opportunities. But they've got a lot of space. They've lived there a long time. They're like, I don't think we're going to move. To be quite honest, we don't want to move. So they could move. They're just choosing not to. And I know other people like that. They own small businesses, and they want to keep as much money as they can. They don't want to spend it on some, $300,000-$400,000 house. So they're just happy where they're at. So I talk about, regardless of the state of the economy, more so because most mobile home park owners are about to age out of the business, that portion of the real estate sector is poised for investment opportunity. He notes that about 90% or 40,000 parks are owned by mom and pops, are owned by mom and pop landlords. Many of those mom and pop owners don't have the desire or the resources or the knowledge to upgrade the park and get maximum income and therefore provide value. They're really in the position where they are ready to sell and move on. He talks about it's a real opportunity that you cannot get right now in multifamily and a lot of other asset types that are far more mature. I 100% agree. That's why we're doing what we're doing. That's why the time is now to take action, my friend. More set of investors can find and acquire a formerly mom and pop owned mobile home park and make some simple upgrades. The benefits can be enormous. One example is that they often pay the water, sewer, and trash pickup, meaning the mom and pops, which meant that the tenants used a lot more water when they didn't have to pay for it. So, yeah, so the mom and pops, we love the mom and pops, but at the same time, we know that the mom and pops who may have owned this park for 10, 20, 30 years probably hasn't consistently, or if ever, raised lot rents. And we bought a park from a gentleman who'd owned it for over 15 years and never raised the lot rents. But he never added any other value either, I would say, in terms of really didn't do any road work, upgrade, anything in the community. And so, but he didn't raise rent. That's kind of the mindset and the model with a lot of people. And what we are doing, but it's not a sustainable model, right? Because as the park deteriorates because they're not investing in it, there's not going to be value there for residents, and they'll eventually leave, and it'll just be a lot of vacancies and then maybe even shut down. And that was the situation in that park where they're about 50% vacancy because nobody wanted to live there, even though it was cheap. It was just kind of run down and nasty. And so what we did is we've come in, invested capital, right? We've added value. So we're increasing rents, right? We have to extract some of that value to recoup costs and run a profitable business. But we have, we know that we have future expenditures and reserves that we're going to reinvest the money, make sure the roads are still looking good, other upgrades and things like that we need to do. And that's not executed in the mom and pop world typically, that they don't have a plan to reinvest money to keep the community not only looking good, but to make sure that they're adding value back to the residents, and then also consistently raising lot rents, because it just takes money to make money. It takes money every year. The taxes increase, although most parks, like, we're not paying a lot of taxes. We don't have much real property other than the land, but we know that taxes are going to increase, insurance is going to increase, our liabilities are going to increase. So therefore rent needs to increase also. But so that's kind of why there's a lot of opportunity with the mom and pops. And a big thing, because this business model is all about increasing revenue, decreasing expenses. So with a lot of the mom and pops, their biggest expenses are utilities. And you see a lot of them are all bills paid. They're paying for the electricity, maybe paying for the water, the trash, all that kind of stuff. So we come in and convert these parks to, resident paid utilities rather than all bills paid. and our values go up. They can skyrocket, especially in bigger parks. I'm not saying it's not work to do that, and it's not an expense to do that, because it is, but that's how you drastically raise your value. So we're going to wrap up here, but he talks about another benefit to investing in mobile home parks at any time is that in most parks, about 71%, according to Apartment List, the tenant owns their home and is likely more invested in the upkeep of the property. Okay, unlike apartments, mobile home park owners are joint stakeholders with their tenants. So a typical mobile home park owner owns and leases land. Okay, so a typical mobile home park owner owns and leases land. This is important. So there's some investors and park owners that own the land and the home, and they're renting the home. I don't buy into that model. I like to own the land, and I want my residents to own their home, right? So that's the American dream, is home ownership. They either own it free and clear, or they work to pay that off free and clear, and they just pay for the lot rent. So to me, that's an ideal situation. I also don't want to get involved in, the repairs of the property, the upkeep. They have that. It's a pride of ownership, and what it does, it's not just that we want to displace those expenses, but we want them to have that vested ownership in our communities. It's just where it's at, because if they have a vested interest in keeping the value of their home and just good, safe community, they need to take part in keeping upkeep of their property, encouraging the neighbors to do the same, leading through example, all that type of stuff. So essentially what it does with that model, where we own the land, they own the home, it creates a partnership type of agreement. And because whenever they're ready to move, like we already discussed, they're most likely not going to want to not going to move that home, so they can sell their home. They could keep that home as a rental property and never move it. And if they've done a good job of keeping the upkeep and the maintenance on that home, then they have an asset now. Some people talk about, well, they just have this mindset that a mobile home is a tin can. It's not. These things that are well maintained, they last 60, 70 years, at least 50, a good solid 50. I know parks that were built in the 60s that are still in operation today, and they look great because they've been well maintained. So, if they are well maintained, they are an asset for these people. I get it. Some people say they're a depreciating asset. I get it. But, you go into downtown areas and they're tearing down 100-year homes too. So maybe they got 30 more years out of that home than a mobile home. But I'm just saying, these things last for a while, and there's a lot of misinformation out there on them. All right, my friends. So like I mentioned, don't click off just yet, because we're going to have a special workshop here in the next few weeks. So be sure to message me, post it in the comments, or private message me, either way, or go to brantphillips.com. We'll share that information with you. If you're watching this in hindsight, we can send you whatever recordings and links that we create from this workshop, teaching all about mobile home parks, how to find them, how to analyze them, how to create offers, or how to just send them to investors like myself, where we can work out a JV, bird dog fee, assignment fee, or something like that. And then, who knows? Let's do some deals together. Excited to share this information. Once again, I'm just so excited about the mobile home industry, and it's really just getting a lot of our focus in our business. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you like this video. If you got some value, hit those like buttons, hit the subscribe button, give me some comments. You guys know that helps us with playing the YouTube game that we're playing here. So I appreciate you guys, and I hope y'all enjoyed watching this video about mobile home park investing.